So, you want to be a god. Let's talk about that. Someone recently asked me what I would look like with my hair down. What do you think? Yeah? No? Too much like Skrillex? So you want to be a god. What does that even mean? You're on the left-hand path. You want to become a god. Do you mean the god? Higher than the throne? Or do you mean like a demigod? Be very careful. I want you to really think. I want you to think about what it would be like to be that God. You know, if you are a God, what's it going to be like? You're going to have the ability to fly? Turn lead into gold? Snap your fingers and entire universes are created and destroyed in the wake of the turbulence of your fingers? What's your power level? To use a comic book kind of term. What's your power level? What's your limit? How far can you go? Can you imagine the kind of power that being a omnipotent being would be like? Let me talk to you a little bit about a scenario. Let's say tomorrow, during ritual, some entity came to you and gave you the secret to Godhood. And you complete this next ritual and you wake up in the middle of it and you realize you have all these powers. Let's say you become a low god. You can't do everything. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be really cool for a little while. You're going to be having the time of your fucking life. You're going to be flying around, turning yourself into a goose and flying into people's windows and having your way with the women or the men. You're going to be fighting giants, slaying dragons, being a dragon. You're going to do all these cool things. It's going to be freaking awesome. But there's going to be a problem. Sooner or later, eventually, it's not going to be enough. You're going to want to be a bigger, badder, better god. It's not going to be enough to be able to just fly. You're going to be able to teleport. Then it's not going to be enough to teleport. You're going to want to be able to just make what you want appear. That's not going to be enough either. No. You know, you don't even want to have to want things. You just want to have everything you want just poof happen. There's always going to be something a little bit more you're going to want. Things are going to stop being fun. In Buddhism, they call this the cycle of samsara, birth and rebirth, the wheel of suffering, godhood. As you rise, as you ascend, pleasure, power, they stop being enough, and you need more and more and more. And eventually, in your ladder of ascension, you will reach the pinnacle. I have no doubt of this. You will reach the pinnacle. So long as that is your goal, you will do it. And when you hit that pinnacle, and you have all the power there is, it's like knowing the end of every novel. It's like knowing the end of every video game. You'll have your cake, but you won't be able to eat it. Or you'll be able to eat it, but you won't have your cake. You have to choose. Which is it going to be? Do you truly want omnipotence and omniscience? They would be more or less the same thing, wouldn't they? Really think about what it's like to be an all-powerful being with no limits. And I promise you, at first it's going to be a real blast. But I want you to think back to when you were a child, playing with action figures or dolls or whatever it would happen to be. As far as the metaphor goes, you are God when you're playing with those toys. You're making them move, walk, talk. You're giving them struggles, enemies to fight, rivals to compete with. And you're making up the rules as you go along. Or you're following the rules from some cartoon or show that you like as a kid. This character's the villain, this one's the hero, and the villain will be willing to do anything he can do to beat the hero, and the hero's willing not to do anything. He's got limits and rules and so on. And whatever your rules are, you're going to flop them around. There's going to be limits, because if there's no limits, well, then all the villain has to do is go, and he wins. Or all the hero has to do, and he wins. You need to have conflict for it to be fun. And conflict requires weakness, limitation. If your goal is ascension, eventually you will reach the top. And when you do, what's left? You'll either become depraved and want more and more depraved joys and pleasures because it's the only thing that's fun for you. But at the very top, even that won't matter anymore. Oh man, nothing's going to feel good. Right now, this minute, you might be Bob at accounting, watching this video on lunch break, with a little cheap dollar cup of noodles in your hand. Pathetic, pitiful little meal. But you're hungry, and it tastes pretty damn good. You haven't eaten all day. It's the best meal you've had all day. You were looking forward to it all day, and sitting here and watching this video, and you feel utterly pathetic that that is the highlight of your life today. Hopefully I'm part of that. I told you I'm a little egotistical. Now imagine you're God. You have all the power in the world. You can do anything you want. The idea of having ramen is silly. It's not even a want. You just think ramen, and the experience of ramen happens to you. It's great. And you realize that Bob in accounting is having a better day than you because he's having a worse day than you. Because he can have a bad day. He can have a limitation. He can have a weakness. He can have hunger. And so you're going to long to be like Bob in accounting again. You're going to want to walk as a mortal. Or maybe when you realize that it's that suffering and lack of joy and things that makes the joy feel better, you're going to want to be even more pathetic and weak and unimportant and powerless. Because it's going to make those good moments feel that much better. Maybe. That's one scenario. This is a circle. It just keeps going on and on and on. Because Bob in accounting is going to want to be that God. And God's going to want to be Bob in accounting. The interesting thing is, they're both the same person. You, as Bob in accounting, are already God. Because God, you, already know. And you've already done this countless times already. This whole experience, the good and the bad, all of it, is a game that you're playing with yourself because it's fun. And it's only fun so long as you can forget that it's a game. If you wake up and realize you are a God, you're still not going to want to be able to do everything a God can do. Because the moment you do that, the game starts getting silly and boring. Your characters don't have challenges anymore. If you can do this and everything you want appears, are you going to enjoy it anymore? For how long? You are already God, and you've chosen to have the experience of a mortal again. Because you were bored. Because it's fun. Because ascension is fun. So is descension. You're going to go up and you're going to go down. In some lives you're going to be very mundane, and some you're going to be a sorcerer. Some you might even be a god or a demon. Yeah. Yeah. You're already that being. You're the same being that all of these things are. You're a child playing with toys, forgetting he's a child, and pretending he is the toy. That's what you're doing right now. That's what I'm doing. The difference between me and you, and how I do magic, and how I do all these things, is I don't approach it from the perspective of my magic is doing anything. At least not deep inside. Deep inside, I know that what I am doing is a celebration. It is an act. It is a performance. The real me, the true me, the God me, is enjoying that performance because it is a celebration of things to come. If I cast a spell for $1 million and I know it worked, did the $1 million come because I casted this spell? Or is the $1 million already destined to happen and I simply did a spell because of it? How can you tell? Ask yourself, if you've ever done successful magic, did the magic do it? Or was it just a synchronistic event where you had a coincidence between what you did and what you got? How can you tell the difference? And some people are going to say, oh, I know. Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah. You know. You don't know. You lit some candles, burned some incense, and bespoke to a demon. They agreed to do it for you, and it happened. We can do that. Don't need to be a demon to do that. Just has to be a coincidence. Does that mean it's not real? Does that mean magic isn't real? No, it's a very real thing. It's a very real expression. It's a very important expression. It opens you up and aligns you with this bigger mystery that you are a god already. Because when you raise your hand and your will manifests because you raised your hand, sometimes you will recognize that your will manifested and you raised your hand. They were a coincidence. They happened together. This is so hard to see if you're not already connected with your God self. A true sorcerer will be. They become connected to this God self, and they no longer fight the currents, they become them. Success or fail are the same thing. They're all a success of your truest will to experience the best experience possible for you, including the failures, all of it. Because being a god with unlimited power without any restriction eventually becomes a form of hell. There can be no pleasure, no more new knowledge, no more learning, no more victories. You simply are. Doesn't sound like fun, does it? At least not to you. Now, I'm not making this as a judgment call. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't try to ascend. I'm telling you definitely ascend. Ascend with all your fucking might. Claw your way to the top. Because that's the game. That's the fun. Do it. I am. I know exactly what I am, and yet I'm still playing the game, aren't I? See, the difference between me and you is you think you're the character in the video game. I know I'm holding the controller. That's the difference. I'm still playing the game right next to you. I'm just not taking it too seriously. It's the whole reason I was able to get back into Magic after being a skeptic. Was because I was able to say to myself, this is just a fun way to pass the time. Let's pretend we're a sorcerer for a while and see what happens. And lo and behold, it all works. The spirits talk to me. It's all true. It was also not true when I was a skeptic. And it's true now. Because I needed it to be so. So when you are ascending, always temper your ascent with this knowledge that you already are God. And you've chosen to have this experience as not God. Because that's exactly what a God would do. This is D.H. Thorne here. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, share responsibly. In the meantime, mind the shadows. For that might be exactly what you are.